trying to reconnect. And then also, oh yay, we look great.
I know, color
amazing. We look amazing. But this gives people a chance to know that we're online. They can come and join us. So, but remember, you have a hot mic, so they can hear you. So don't say anything too bad about the orange guy.
I'll try not to.
We're about a minute out. Less than a minute, 30 seconds out. So people start joining us, which is really cool, which is really, really awesome. Look at that, see? Now, one day I'm going to be talented enough to be able to read the messages, talk to the guests, and ask questions and do all that thinking at the same time. But I don't, all my personalities don't come with me, so I have to leave some of them at home.
Exactly.
So we're about 15 seconds out. Because this is, we have to remember it is a radio show, so we do the radio thing. All right. Hello, hello. All right. We'll turn the mic on. Radio mics are hot. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Turn Left. I am your host, Indiana's own Dana Black, coming to you live from Collaborative 317 in McCordsville on RadioNext.tv HB. I posted a link to the new website. He is doing amazing things. I keep trying to tell you guys, if you're interested in finding out how to be all community all the time, you need to go to www.radionext.tv. I put a link up. Of course, it's a link to yours truly's page, but there are other radio hosts on that website. Browse it, join it. There's a way for you to become a sponsor on the show, for the show or any show. You can sign up to be a sponsor, and you can contribute and help us continue to bring this wonderful, wonderful content to you. I'm hoping that you guys like what we do on Turn Left. First of all, I want to give a shout out. Courtney Trich, when we first started doing the show and I started monitoring how many listeners we had on Facebook, Courtney Trich kind of blew everybody out of the water initially. But I got to tell you guys, Chuck Jones is blowing up. People are watching Chuck Jones. They feel his energy, his authenticity, and I thank you guys for watching and boosting. This is a guy that's just he's running for trustee, a township race. And he is now has more views on Turn Left than any of the folks that are running for any congressional seat, House seat. So thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That lets me know that you care about everything on all levels of government, not just the noise at the top of the ticket, and that we are really focusing in on our 92 counties and what we have to do. So thank you very much. A couple of things I want to talk about. You know me. First and foremost, I need everyone to sit down or you'll fall down. If you hadn't already heard. If you haven't heard this news, you better sit down before you fall down. The judge in Indiana's case, in Common Cause, an NAACP case about how many vote locations we have, said, Republicans, y'all know y'all on some BS. Y'all know there's no real reason why you don't have more than one early vote location in a town with dang near 1 million people. Y'all know y'all on some nonsense and some BS. We need to make sure by November 2018 we have more than one early voting location in Marion County. I'm telling you guys, that is amazing news. Common Cause and NAACP have been in this fight for quite a while, and the judge came back and said, No. This is some old partisan nonsense. Some partisan nonsense y'all on. So cut it out. They're not waiting till 2020. They're not waiting to figure out how you're going to vote when 2018 in November. There will be more than one early vote location in Marion County, as it should be. If Hamilton County and Boone County and Hancock County and Hendricks County can have more than one, then Indianapolis sure as heck should have more than one, because there's more citizens in Marion County than all those other counties combined. But Republicans, they say, no, we want everyone to vote. You're lying sacker. Y'all know what I'm getting ready to say. They are trying to do whatever they can in whatever subtle ways they can to suppress the vote. We know this, and they want to suppress the vote in Democratic strongholds. And they're trying to suppress the vote where there's more diversity. I'm telling you, I'm excited about the ruling today. Republicans, you were able to kind of get away with it for as long as you did. But check it out. You are always on the wrong side of history. Cut it out already. You look, the judge this week threw out your abortion bill and said it was unconstitutional. Stop being on the wrong side of history and what's right for humans and Americans and Hoosiers. Curtis Hill, don't spend no more money fighting unconstitutional laws. Bruh. AG. Bruh. Could you please? I mean, I understand you're supposed to be conservative, a conservative Republican. Could you not waste money on unconstitutional laws? I expect you to know better. Some of our Republicans who are elected to office don't have law degrees. Most of them don't, for that matter. But I need you with the law degree to know what you're looking at. So there's 2 rulings in favor of right. Not necessarily Dem or Republican. It's right for women to have a choice on their reproductive system and how that works and what choices they make. And it is right that a county where almost 1 million people have more than one early vote location where they had to pay to park. Come on, please. So that's my rant there. Because, let's get on it. Now, there's something I want to talk about, and I was so shocked and appalled, really, when I heard about it. I went up to Miami County this week, spent some time with some great Democrats in Peru, Indiana. Yes, Peru, Indiana. Please understand, there are blue people everywhere. I know y'all want to talk about black and white, but we blue, and we're everywhere. I mean, Peru has a Democrat mayor. You do know that, right? Oh, okay. Just a little tidbit, throwing it out there. We had a conversation, and one of the questions that came up during the training session was, there was a concern that when people donated to certain campaigns, that their names would show up on the rolls, and there was literally backlash and negative repercussions for citizens of Peru, Indiana, who donated to Democrats. Now, I'm not real sure about any of this, but something tells me if you're going to fire somebody because of who they donated to, something wrong with you. Listen, the Koch brothers can donate to whoever they want to donate to. And I will call you out when you're taking crazy money from the Koch brothers and you pass an ALEC bill, SB 309. Y'all know how I feel about that. But to tell me that someone who is working for you decides to take the money that they've earned in working for you and decided they wanted to support a candidate who represents their values and you want to fire them, I want you guys to tell me, inbox me anonymously or whatever you got to do, send me an email. You can go to some blank email, make a false Yahoo. I don't care. Tell me about the company that's firing people or harassing people because they want to be good Democrats. We'll put them on blast. Nobody likes negative press. They don't care if it's coming from the loudmouth dreadlock lesbians. They don't care. They don't want it. But on Turn Left, we have a viewership now. We have a viewership and people are listening. And if we find out that there's a business or an organization that are treating employees poorly, right or left, I'm calling it out. You do not get to treat people poorly because of who they choose to support. And shame on you. What kind of Gestapo bull is that? This is America. People get to choose and support who they want. So that was something that was on my heart today, and it was bothering me because I literally, I said a cuss word in the training session. You probably should never curse when you're doing training sessions. But I was mad. I couldn't believe it. Oh my God. So, and then I was just asking Lisa sitting next to me, and I'm going to introduce my guest today. I know y'all like, wow, who's that? We're going to get there. I asked her, so what is the difference between firing somebody or treating them bad because their political party affiliation and firing them because of what they look like or who they love? There's no difference. The only difference is that the EEOC doesn't protect them as a class. But listen, we can do better. We don't have to treat people poorly because of who they support. Right or left. And I mean that. Right or left. I may not agree with the values that certain knuckleheads like Mike Delph espouse. He does dumb stuff. He says dumb stuff all the time. But if you want to support him, support him. I'm just going to just tell you why you probably shouldn't. Give you some reasons why, but I would never treat you poorly. Stop that. Humans, do better. All right. You know, the best part of my life is getting the opportunity to talk to people who are as passionate about politics and policy and improving lives as I am. I don't think you can get me more geeked up, more hyped up, and more excited than if I'm not talking to someone who is about improving community. And with all the women that are running for office in Indiana, oh my God, is this not wonderful to see how many women are saying, I am going to run for office and I'm going to represent you. We are over 50% of the population, but we want to be more than 20% of our elected officials. I got somebody for you, and I'm hoping that you will fall in love with her like I did. I'm always meeting cool people all over the state. So please, everyone, welcome to Turn Left. My home girl from Northwest Indiana. Yes, she drove the 2.5, almost 3 hours down. Yes. Lisa Beck. Lisa, thank you for joining us on Turn Left. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Welcome.
You know, you said this would be like a conversation, like normal. Mm-hmm. But you have a lot more energy. A little bit of competition there.
No. Let's just do this like how we do it. Like when we be on the phone, just do it.
Okay.
Right? Because I want people to know you so they can help you and they can, what I tell the guests when they come on is this show is a show to give listeners an opportunity to know who you are. You're the candidate. Give them a reason to love you. So tell the people where you come from.
I come from my district. District 19. Is Crown Point, a nice chunk of Hobart, and then Winfield, and then a little bit of Porter County outside of Lakes of Four Seasons. Okay. So actually all of Lakes of Four Seasons, but the Porter County part. I happen to live in the Porter County part.
Okay.
So,
and who are you running against in the general? Do you have a primary opponent?
No, I do not.
Okay. And who are you running against in the general?
Julie Olthoff.
Okay, that's all you get. You never get to say her name again. All right. So tell the people how you grew up, where you grew up. Give them a little insight, a little biography about who you are.
Okay, it's kind of boring because I live.
It's never boring. Your life is exciting.
In District 19, and I'm happy to say that though. Honestly,
okay.
It's a great community. I grew up in Crown Point. I'm one of 8 kids.
Whoa.
Catholic.
How
family.
could that possibly be boring?
I know it was crazy in our household.
8
believe
kids.
me. But my mother was one of 7. And so we had a lot of family. All of my mom's family lives in Crown Point as well.
Okay.
So I grew up in Crown Point. I went to St. Mary's, a Catholic school.
Okay. All right. Good Catholic girl.
That's right. Most of us
Look at you, a Democrat with morals.
That's
Go
right.
ahead on.
My dad was a United Auto Worker. He worked for Ford out of Chicago Heights. And my family, when I was in high school, we moved to Lakes of Four Seasons on the Porter County side. And so I went to Andrean, which is a Catholic high school. But then I finished up at Boone Grove. And then, my husband, Vernon Beck. And, that's where I met Vernon in high school.
Okay.
Which is kind of interesting.
Okay. Well, tell us. How interesting is it?
Just that, I think we have 2 kids, 2 daughters. Our oldest daughter's 31. She went to St. Mary's in South Bend.
Wait, whoa. Hold up. I'm sorry. You have a 31-year-old?
Yeah.
Girl, work it. Okay, go back to stories.
Anyway, she's doing fabulous. She is in Chicago right now. She's working her PhD. Very proud of her. Yeah.
Excellent.
And then my younger daughter, I'm proud of her too. She's 28 and she lives in Crown Point.
Okay.
She works full time and then she goes to school at Kent Law School. So she's going back to school.
Wow, she's in law school.
Yeah, part time. It's pretty amazing.
So you're just churning out geniuses like that.
Yeah. I wish I could take credit for it. Yeah, they're both really hard workers. They're doing really good.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Hold on just a second, because I got somebody that's trying to clown me on my show. Normally I don't read stuff, but Bob Kern, me and you gonna have a conversation later, and you're not gonna like it if you don't stop. Okay, next. No, he wants to come on the show because he's running against Andre Carson in the 7th district, but I haven't. He is accusing me of having pay to play on my show. Normally I don't read that stuff, but I'm catching him. He's like, you're only interviewing slated candidates. Well, the only counties that slate are Marion County. They don't slate in other counties, but if you were a real candidate, you would know that. Okay, next.
So there you go.
I'm sorry. And I apologize for even having to be rude like that.
No,
but,
that's fine. Hey,
step away from the keyboard, Bob. Step away.
Sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah.
We have, since we're going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Once in a while, I have somebody on my campaign page that posts something that not necessarily negative about me. It's more about the party or about unions or whatever. And somebody 9 times out of 10, if I look them up, they're not even from Indiana.
Right.
I mean, it's a bot.
And it's usually, okay, so my thing is always this, everybody has to find their own way. You have to find your own way in your campaign. You have to find your own way in your own life. You can't look to somebody else to make that way for you, right? So when I decided to run for office, there was, nobody knew who I was. Nobody knew that I was running for office. I chipped away at it. Granted, I didn't even win my seat, but I created a platform for people to go, oh, you know what? Let's do more stuff with you. That's what you have to do instead of trying to call people out for what they're not doing for you. Do it for yourself. Make it happen for yourself if you can. If you can't, you just gonna moan and groan. But anyway, back to you and your 2 lovely children. Do you have any grandkids yet?
No grandkids yet.
No grandkids. No. Are you like pecking at them?
Try not to.
Okay, but that means you're doing.
We have a grand dog.
Grand dogs are great.
Yeah, she's actually pretty funny.
Okay, yeah. So did you go to college?
I did go to college.
Okay, where'd you go?
I went to IUN, which is the IU in Gary.
Yeah.
Right after high school. But I kind of was confused on what I wanted to do, so I never finished.
Okay.
Went back to school. My youngest daughter was in preschool.
Okay.
And, yeah, it feels weird to look in the camera because it's me.
Yeah.
I knew we need to have like people's faces in there.
No. Don't, sweet, I told you. What I tell you? Look at yourself and go, damn, I look pretty good. And then it doesn't matter.
Gonna take a while.
No. Whether or not it's true or not is irrelevant.
Right.
I don't care. I mean, some days I look real funny. Hair's not quite right. Ties. Don't even worry about that stuff. No. My wife, I'm telling you, my wife looks at me and goes, "You think you cute." And she lets me know in the event that my head gets too big, girl, you ain't all that. But tell yourself that. Tell yourself that you're wonderful, because that'll help you because as you're going to speak in front of more people. If you win, just think you're going to introduce bills in front of hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Just get comfy.
Well, I mean, it's not that I'm afraid to public speak.
Right, I got that.
Because I do that. I mean, that's what I do for a living is here. I'm an attorney. I don't know if you
I did not know that.
You didn't know that, okay.
They learned something.
So, yeah, when I went back to school to become an attorney. So,
okay.
And,
what kind of law do you practice?
I practice criminal defense because I was a prosecutor.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I also do, I'm doing more family law now.
Okay.
Yeah, in the past I did some employment law.
Okay.
But I haven't been taking on any of those cases lately.
So. Okay. No, are you in a firm or do you have your own private practice?
It's just me, by myself.
Just you by yourself? Wow. Yeah. And how long have you had your own practice?
6 years.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Now tell me, when you decided to have your own practice, what kind of advice were people giving you?
Don't do it. Are you crazy? Do you know how hard it is? I don't know if I had anybody really say, you know what, go. Actually, I did have one guy that said, you know what, just do it. Just jump. And there was a couple local small business networking groups that I was involved in. And I remember I got a lot of really positive feedback from the group. You know, other people that had started. There are businesses that people start that you wouldn't even think about. I mean, cleaning businesses. There's a lady that paints. She paints for a living. She just got an award recently, which how amazing is that? So I think if you do what you love, you can do anything, and you can be a small business owner. Okay.
So you were used to, you'd already heard the naysayers on starting your law firm, which obviously you're doing pretty good at. 6 years, you're still going strong. I imagine there was some naysayers, when you decided to run for office. Did the confidence that you have in starting your law firm also help you with being able to run for office?
I don't think that, and I think it's because it's 2018. I can't think of one person that was an naysayer as far as running for office.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think there's been so much encouragement, it's not even funny.
Okay,
but you know that we have a women's group in Porter County.
I do.
Northwest Indiana Supporting Women. And I had a conversation, I think it was last winter, with an individual about Northwest Indiana Supporting Women, and this person is somebody that works with the election board. Okay. And so we were talking about the importance of women, getting more women elected, and I had mentioned that in our state it's less than 20% is women in our General Assembly, and then federally I think it's 25% across the whole nation. So we were having this conversation, and he said, well, the reason why women don't run is because they can't take the criticism. And I thought, wow,
that's because that's a dude that doesn't spend any time with women, because that's all we are, is criticized every day. We wake up and the criticism is, did you use the right toothpaste? Do you have the right toilet paper for your children? Do you have the right paper towels? Are you feeding them the right cereal? We get criticized every day.
Do you have the right hairstyle?
Do you have the right hairstyle? You don't have the right bra. Yeah. The right makeup. hello, we are criticized daily from the moment we put our feet on the ground. So obviously, that guy, just doesn't spend a lot of time with women intimately. Not like getting to know them as humans first.
Yeah, because I think that most women really they're used to it. You're right.
We are used to it. I mean,
we not like it, but we're used to it.
Exactly.
It's nothing that's foreign.
Exactly. There was a young lady who tagged me in a post, and she's a trans lady, and she was, basically venting because, she was getting a lot of negative feedback about how she, doesn't look like a woman, what a woman is supposed to look like, and how hard it is for her to maintain employment because people were like, oh, you don't look like what a woman's supposed to look like. And I posted a picture. I said, neither do I. I don't either. And I've been identifying as a female since I was born. And I still don't look. So I don't worry about those things. Humans are stupid sometimes, not all the time. But they have their own innate perception of what people should be. And don't worry about trying to live up to somebody else's expectation. Otherwise, you'll be miserable.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah. So, tell him his criticism was,
Well, and hopefully the person that told me this is not, I'm not going to embarrass her, but we had last September our second annual fundraiser for Northwest Indiana Sporting Women.
Mm-hmm.
Our first fundraiser was before the 2016 election.
Okay.
And we had in September, we really just started to organize. There was a group of about 15 women that got together from all different parts of the community, which was so awesome.
Okay.
I love collaboration like that.
Okay.
It's just completely different. There was teachers, I'm an attorney, there was people from the party, there was a nurse. So we tried to get women from all walks of life that were part of our group, and then we did this thing, and that's why we call ourselves Northwest Indiana Sporting Women.
Okay.
And the whole purpose was to get women elected.
Okay.
More women, good Democrats elected.
Okay.
And,
say that. Claim them Democrats, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, it's my opinion, I think that Democrats care about working families. And that's why we are devoted to helping more women get elected. And so anyway, we had that first fundraiser, was awesome.
Okay.
Glenda Ritz was there. I learned
so
much.
She wrote,
absolutely. She said something, you always get one nugget, my friend says, when you go to something. And the one nugget I got from her, actually I got a lot of nuggets, but the one that I'm thinking about right now was when she was talking about vouchers and in charter schools, she said that even with a voucher, the school doesn't have to take the child.
Right.
I never heard that before.
Yeah, yes, very true.
Yeah, so that's really powerful, and it kind of shows the intent behind it.
Absolutely.
It's not necessarily to educate all children.
Absolutely. And again, Republicans on the wrong side of history. And it's so glaring. Like, I know people always tell me, Dana, you're way too partisan. Will you ever be able to work across the aisle when you become elected? Absolutely, I will. But stupid is stupid. And if you're telling me that taking money from public schools and giving them to private or for-profit schools is okay, when that money was earmarked for public schools, we got to fight.
Yeah.
We got to fight on it. Let's just duke it out. And let's stop sugarcoating it. And because they want to essentially, if you have enough money, and your child's education is dependent upon how much money the parent makes. How wrong is that?
Right.
It's almost like I said. I've said it before. The sins of the father. So my child doesn't get a good education because maybe I'm not making enough money. How is that an equal playing field?
Right. It's not.
It's not
at all.
No.
No. And I think what's happening is, I talked to somebody who's a friend of mine who is an assistant principal, and she said that what they're doing with the vouchers is there's testing that prevents certain children from being able to use the voucher in their school.
Wow.
So the testing is impartial, unbiased. But yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily get into the school if you have a voucher. And I think that's pretty scary. And
the school gets to keep the voucher.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you know what's really scary? And nobody's really, the Star came out with the breaking news. But at first, it was just like lower income school systems that were, the unfortunate recipient of, or not a recipient, the unfortunate. I'm trying to think of the word. Come on, help me, lawyer. They thought the inner city schools would be the ones that the money would just leave from, and they would be the only ones to suffer. But last month, the Indianapolis Star reported that Carmel High School schools are going to be shutting down schools, public schools.
Oh my gosh, wow.
So now let's talk about that, because Carmel is, we know Hamilton County is probably the most affluent county in our state, And they have some of the best school systems. We know this. But because their funding and their attendance is changing, and because a lot of things are happening that public schools are underfunded, they're having to close down schools. And when they start closing down, schools where, our affluent neighbors are, we need to look at how we're really funding public schools. You were mentioning today about the Colorado teachers stepping out.
Yeah. That's what I saw on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Indiana's next, right?
Yeah.
We can't retain teachers. We can't, we keep underfunding public education. We had to dump another $25 million in this year and $75 million next year because lawmakers can't count.
Yeah, that's scary.
I know. We got to fix that. We need to
good.
get you elected so you can fix that.
Well, I mean, the other part of that is the referendums. So we have tax caps, and we have the new structuring of the funding for schools. But the reality of it is schools have to have referendums. And they're having referendums in District 19. And, I don't want to jinx anything, but so far they haven't passed.
Okay.
But what I see that I think is something that's really troubling is, and it's not just in District 19, when superintendents have to go in front of their constituents and ask for money and present the referendum, because now we're having the second asks, right? And it just doesn't seem right that they're put in a position where they're tap dancing to try to get the money. Why don't we just fund the schools? I don't understand why. It's not fair the way that school funding is happening right
now. Absolutely, and it's always the rural schools, the schools in our urban areas are the ones that suffer the most. But the fact that the Carmel High School, Hamilton County schools are suffering as well. You know what? I believe change might actually happen. But you got people like Betsy DeVos at the top at the federal level who's never been an educator, who's deciding how our school system should be set up, what the curriculum should be, and passing that down to the state level. And then you got these clowns who, and my wife tells me all the time I should stop doing that, but you have these folks who think that it is cool to look at public funding as a money grab. Because that's what they're doing. They're treating it like it's a money grab.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can talk about education. I mean, you and I are on the same page on that one, and I know. But I want to talk about, let's talk in depth about the 3 issues that your campaign is about.
I think for me the most important thing is to bring in better paying jobs, good paying jobs, livable wage jobs. Last summer with the Democratic Party, I went door to door in a community near, not exactly in District 19, but nearby. And overwhelmingly, we had 8 different issues that we asked people.
Okay.
The people that actually, I think we went door to door, every single door, and the majority of people answered the door.
Okay.
Which was amazing.
Okay.
And, ask them, what are your top priorities? Everybody said jobs, good paying jobs. I had one man actually say, I don't want to have to work 3 jobs anymore.
Okay.
I mean, that's huge. So I think up by us in Lake County, there are a lot of people. Well, we have the highest unemployment rate, one of the highest unemployment rates.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, although the state has unemployment that's
around the 3, like 3, 4, yeah.
It's highest up by us, and so I think to me the jobs and where we're moving as a state, and not everything about what we're doing, I think, is questionable. I think there are some good things that are being done, like we have Ivy Tech up by us.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
One of the best community college systems in the nation, yes.
And what they're doing, it makes them really, it's a big changes. I went and visited the campus, I think it was in January, and it was pretty amazing how it has changed since the last time I stepped foot into Ivy Tech.
Yeah.
A lot of trade.
Yes.
It's amazing. I think that we need to do that because, what do they say, 60% of the jobs are going to be jobs that we right now can't even fill.
Right.
If we don't do something, we need to educate people about trade.
Yes, and I keep asking one of my nieces or nephews to go into plumbing so I don't have to spend so much money. Well, when do y'all become a plumber?
So is that working?
No. I need
go to Ivy Tech.
I need a plumber. I need an electrician. So are you okay? So when we say better paying jobs, are we tapping are you looking at a specific industry, or are you saying, okay, do we look at how the wages in Indiana are stagnant across the board?
Well, I think that all that comes into play. I think that it's the economy, so there's a lot that goes into it. Some of the things that have hurt wages and hurt jobs are when they got rid of the common construction wage.
Yes.
That was a horrible thing.
Yes.
And implementing right to work, not good for the economy.
No.
And then as far as educating, so let me see if I can think about how to, from my version, how to explain what I've learned, which is, so we have, I think it's $1 billion from state and federal fund that goes into workforce development.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Manufacturers Association in Indiana they want some of that money because they want their workers, whether it's workers that potential workers or current workers, to be educated with some of that money, educated into trade.
Right.
So, but I guess the part of that bothers me is, or that I'm questioning, is in the past, corporations like NIPSCO and ArcelorMittal, some of the larger factories, they've already been doing this. So they've donated to places like Ivy Tech the equipment so that they can be taught. So they're donating, they're invested in getting the trade, getting individuals trained on trade. And so what they're asking for that money, the taxpayer money. So I mean, right now we know the corporate tax rate is slowly being phased out, basically.
That's one way to put it. They're just going to phase that out, and they're not going to have to pay anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's what, $400 million we were short last year.
Yes.
So if corporations aren't paying their share in corporate tax rates, and I don't mean to jump on corporations, but it just seems that if they're going to be asking for the tax money or the workforce development money to educate their workers, their potential workers, and their current workers, then isn't the workers actually paying for that?
Pretty much.
It's taxpayer money.
And they're not even giving them more money to once they've been trained, how much more money are they giving them?
Exactly.
Are we boosting wages? Obviously not, because we know in Indiana wages have been stagnant for multiple reasons.
So you have to, as an individual, there had been in the past companies that would actually send their employees there to get trained. So they not only gave Ivy Tech the equipment to train them, so they're vested in Ivy Tech and they're vested in
the community.
Yes, they also would maybe send their employees there, pay for it. So now if we're asking for the employees who are out of work, don't have a trade, to pay for this, and then also our tax dollars are paying for. Yeah, I mean, it seems like
circular.
Yeah,
and then you have now. Don't get me wrong. I like the fact that we're looking at workforce development because we do have a brain drain in Indiana.
Absolutely.
And the two bills that were passed, or that were signed this past week by Governor Holcomb, he's super excited about his two workforce bills that he passed. And one was to give more money to workforce development. The other one was the oversight on how to manage it. But there's still, and I'm kind of segueing a little bit, there's still an issue that we haven't quite addressed with these 95,000 jobs that are available. I think Indiana does a really great job at training people. We have a hard time maintaining people.
Right, with the quality of life here.
The News and World Report came out just this week that Indiana is ranked third from the bottom in quality of life.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's going to be hard to fill those 95,000 jobs if people aren't happy about living in Indiana.
Yeah, there's actually, up by other statistics that show that there are young professionals that live in Chicago and work. They're taking the jobs here in Indiana, but they want to live in Chicago.
Yeah.
That's not good for Indiana.
No, it is not.
No.
It is not. And so we have to address, I kind of wrote about that in IBJ this week, about, until we address quality of life issues, and I had a chance to talk about it on a radio show in Bloomington this week. If you're not talking about quality of life issues, meaning the environment, where, we have one of 43rd in the nation in air quality. If you have asthma, you probably shouldn't live here, right? We talk about our infrastructure, not just roads and bridges. We're talking about, the electrical grid and high-speed internet in our rural communities. Some people don't want to live in the city.
Right.
They don't want to live in suburbia. They want to live out in the country. So why shouldn't they be able to have the same access to technology? There are a lot of things that we need to look at, and although I like that they are looking at workforce development, but in Indiana, we got some of the best colleges and universities, and we just talked about Ivy Tech as a community college. Once we get them trained, we got to keep them.
Right.
We got to attract people to come here.
Right.
So I think throwing more money at just workforce development is just literally one slice of the pie. But yeah, you're bringing higher paying jobs, and higher paying jobs speaks to quality of life.
Right. Actually, I was just reading something that said that, one of the things that our leadership touts right now is that we have low our housing is low, the price. But it's because it's driven by the wages.
Right.
So if we have low wages, we have low
housing. Right, because nobody would be able to afford to pay for a house like they would in San Francisco.
So it's not really a positive thing that says anything about our wages.
No.
At all. Or jobs.
Yeah, I am so with you on that. We really need to address, better paying jobs, be they trades or, skilled trades, or even some of our tech jobs. Even, I work for the government, and I've not had a raise in 4 years.
Wow.
So, there's, and I love working for the government, but geez, the cost of living continues to rise.
Exactly. Well, and you just brought up teachers earlier. There was an article that came out, I think it's a couple of weeks ago, that said that with taking into consideration inflation, that teachers in Indiana are the lowest paid, 50th of all 50 states. That's not good.
Yeah,
It's going to be harder and harder, I think, to retain good teachers.
We already have a crazy shortage of teachers.
Yeah,
crazy shortage.
So I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Are we going to have teachers that aren't licensed because they don't want to?
Well, they try to introduce a bill like that this year. They try to introduce a bill. Well, that's not just licensed. That's like saying you go to the dentist who's not certified.
Sure.
No. Is this the dumbing down of Indiana? What the hell?
I know, exactly. That's scary.
It's very scary.
No.
Would you want a surgeon to operate on you who didn't pass the board?
No.
Think about that. And think about teachers are what train all of the humans to do things. And if those folks are not qualified to do it, then we're sending out undereducated people. And it's just a society of undereducated people is bad, people. It's not good.
Yeah, well, and teachers teach more than just subject matters.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of things, a lot of advantage to having quality teachers.
Absolutely.
And I think we don't want to sabotage that or
No.
compromise that at all.
We want to make that better.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So higher paying jobs. What other issues are you running on?
Well, I feel like our education kind of ties in with that now,
Okay.
with the pathways.
Okay.
And so it's kind of the same argument with pathways. I'm a little bit concerned with
Now explain what pathways are.
the new pathways to graduation.
Okay.
So my understanding of it is that when you're a freshman in high school, you're going to have to decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And then you're going to enter
At 14?
pathway. Yeah. So if you
Ooh, I'm in trouble.
If you're going to go on a trade, because Ivy Tech now is also educating high school kids about trades. So, and I'm not sure exactly how it works. I guess I'm not even sure that the plan is specific.
Okay, and maybe ambiguous, and that's why you're not really sure. Because as an attorney, I'm sure you understand about specifics and word changes. So if you're telling me that it's ambiguous, I'm going to tend to believe you.
Well, I know there was a really good editorial in the newspaper.
It's not Michael Cohen.
That talked about part of the problem with a lot of the changes, including pathways, is that we're not bringing in educators to help make the decisions about what pathways is going to look like.
No, you're bringing in money people.
Yeah, which is not necessarily good.
Hey, because the bottom line is, what is the profit margin?
Yeah. So how do we? As far as a school system, how do they implement pathways? So the concern is a child maybe that already knows he's going to go to college would be on a different pathway than somebody who's going to be in a trade. So if somebody as a freshman, it just seems that there's going to be decisions made that may not be the child's decision, or at least an educated decision. And then what about the next person that would have discovered the cure for cancer? They never had a chance because they went into a pathway that didn't lead them to a science background. I don't know. It just seems like we need to have educators involved in these decisions.
I guess my question is if some people know what their passions are early, right? We do recognize that there are like musicians and engineers and just really great nerdy people who are focused and they know what they want. My question is there a way, if they think they want to do something at 14 and they change their mind at 16, is there a way for them to change that track? If there's a way to change that track, it might not be so bad. But if they're on it and they're stuck.
Well, when I talked to Ivy Tech, they said that of course there would be. But it seems like, if you only have so much time to get the requirements in. And so I think there's going to be an issue. And the person that wrote this editorial mentioned that are there going to be a lot of kids that aren't graduated because
they
of that. They're going to drop out because they, is the state going to allow somebody to take 5 years in high school in order to finish? I don't know what's going to happen with that. That's a little.
I am a little worried about that. I know in Germany and some other European countries, they do kind of put people on tracks based on not necessarily a decision, but they do testing. And they do cognitive testing. And they do they gather more information on who the individual is, and then they kind of help them based on what their skill sets are. For example, if you're a great drawer, and you're an artistic person, there are a couple of options for you because you can draw. You can be a draftsman, you can be an architect, you can be, and there's paths to that. But I'm just not sure with what you're saying if these pathways are based on the child's skill set, innate skill set, versus somebody saying, you know what, we need to have 4 more people in this pathway to balance it out. And that's what I would hate to have happen. Oh, no, we've got too many over here. We can't get, man, see, that makes you nervous.
Well, and I know, and I think about some of the students, when my kids were in school that maybe weren't so good in high school.
Right.
Or were troublemakers
I was
in middle
not
school.
good in high school.
But then, once they get to college, they do amazing things. I can't tell you how many times I've seen that kind of thing.
That was me. I was a 2.3, 2.4 in high school. No lie. Somebody said probably because I was always talking.
Yeah. I can't believe that.
I know. Shocker. But I graduated magna cum laude in college.
Awesome. See,
so
you're the example that I'm talking about.
I'm telling me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put me
so
on.
Had they tracked you as a freshman, who knows what you
they did.
What you would have done.
They did. They tracked me. They put me in all modified and basic classes. So they were basic classes, modified classes, regular classes, and accelerated classes. And because I had a very short attention span, and usually it was because I grasped it and I moved on to the next thing, but everybody else was still trying to get it, and so I was still trying to have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
And so they put
You were interviewing somebody about it?
But what's crazy is I would always get in trouble for talking, but the person I was talking to never got in trouble. I know they were picking on me. But yeah, but once I became older and learning became a different thing. Because when you're a kid, going to school is just something you have to do.
Right.
When you become older and you kind of figure things out, it's something you want to do. Mm-hmm. Or the necessity is real for a bettering of your life. And so, the decision to hang out or sit down on a Friday night and churn out a paper was easy when I realized I could improve my life. Now, I was in my 30s, too. So, totally different than being 12, 14.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody has their, their timeline.
Mm-hmm.
To expect everybody at a certain age to have their timeline, I don't think that's reasonable.
It's not. We all mature differently. We all mature very differently. I'm still waiting for my Princess Dana to arrive.
Well,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm just listening.
You're supposed to be doing all the talking.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, that might be boring. Me talking.
So, what is your third point?
My third point is access to government. And what that looks like is...
That's interesting. I've not heard that one yet.
Oh, really?
That's a new one.
Making sure everybody has the opportunity to vote, for one thing.
Okay.
What you talked about having... We do have locations, outside locations, and early voting in Lake County and Porter County. We do have that. But to make sure it's accessible. Mm-hmm. I've been out canvassing, and there have been probably maybe 5 people who have said that they're either ill or, for whatever reason, can't make it to the polls. I think we need to make sure that they can. There are ways, but we
absentee ballots,
need to make sure.
Right, and they need to know how to do it, and it should be easy. Yeah. So I think there is an effort. There's a couple of things. Vote by mail that's happening here in Indiana, and the automatic registration when you turn 18.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a couple of groups that are actually pushing for some of those measures. It sounds like you guys are all on, but I never heard it put like that. The access, because what are you seeing other than indigent folks who can't necessarily get out? What else are you seeing as a means to prevent people from having access to government?
Well, I think not having voting only on one day, so allow early voting. Mm-hmm. And I know that personally, there were times in the past where I didn't vote because I was at work late, I came home, and it was too late. Which is a bad excuse, I know.
No, it happens.
Yeah, it does. And it shouldn't happen.
Right.
We should allow everyone should have an opportunity to vote.
Wouldn't it be nice if Election Day was a national holiday? Or a state holiday, depending on what state you're in? That would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then everybody would be able to vote.
Exactly. And then the other thing is, we had 500,000 people that were kicked off the rolls. And they said there was an explanation for it. But I have heard of people that said that they were kicked off and they didn't fit any of those. Reasons why. They lived in the same house, didn't know why they got kicked off. So I think we've had to, as the party, go out and talk to people about making sure that they're still on the rolls so that they don't find out the day that they go to vote that they're not registered.
Yeah, we did a big push here in Marion County. Well, the Marion County Democrats, they made it happen. They were out there talking to people every weekend about getting registered and checking your registration, because if you weren't registered, based on Connie Lawson saying that I don't see a correlation between early voting and voter turnout.
What? Yeah, in 2016, I know it made a big difference in all the communities around by me.
Yeah, absolutely.
The early voting. There was a lot of people. I forgot what the percentages are now, but it was astounding.
Yeah.
I was surprised. So.
It's insane.
People take advantage of it if it's available.
Again, more Republican BS in Indiana. I mean, my thing is this, though. We already know when the voter turnout is high, Democrats win. Right. But my thing is also, if your policies are solid, people are going to vote for you. So why are you so worried about more people coming out? You afraid that your policies don't line up with the voters in your state?
Right.
And you have to suppress the voting? Well, yeah, because y'all on the wrong side of law every other week. Some judge is voting against you every other week.
Well, and then that kind of leads into, the gerrymandering, which, people, it's a really difficult concept to explain. I've heard a lot of different people explain it, but to me, the most powerful evidence that we have gerrymandering is there's out of 100 legislators, we only have 30 that are Democrats.
Right.
We are not 30% Democrats in the state.
No, we're not.
We're not represented.
And we're not 41-9.
Exactly.
That is hideous.
Yeah, right. In the Senate, you mean?
Yeah, in the Senate, 41-9. That is, no, we're not. We're honestly more of a 48-52 or 46-54. Yes, maybe there are more Republicans. I'm tearing up stuff. Sorry, HB. There are probably more Republicans, yes, but not at that margin.
No, not 30 and 70. That's just ridiculous.
No.
I mean, what that says is the people in my district, because I heard an argument that in District 19, the person got the majority of the vote. Actually, that was her argument. So therefore, there's no gerrymandering. It's not in a district. It's in the state. And so if there's only 30 representatives down there, that's not good. And then the other thing that, talking about access to voting, or at least having your vote be powerful.
Okay.
Just like equal, like everyone else's. It's not right now, because if you're in a gerrymandered district.
Like all of my districts that I live in, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then, you hear people say, well, there are gerrymandered districts for Democrats.
There are.
But they're overall, within the whole state, there are less Democratic districts than there are Republicans.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't
work.
Not the state. It's not it's not representing the state. So,
and they're not and I would rather see a competitive district. And this is where, I disagree with some of my Democrat friends. I don't believe anybody should be in office for 30 years, Democrat or Republican. And we need to make these races more competitive. If they're in more competitive districts, then if the Republican shows up in a D district and does good work and convinces people to vote for him, cool. If that happens in a Republican district, cool, but at least make it a competitive race where people going, well, I ain't no sense of me putting a D on the ballot, because they're not gonna have just like Hamilton County. They're like, yeah, there's no D's up here. They don't even bother.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
that's not happening this year.
No, Weingarten said he's got the slate full. He's got Democrats, all of them down Hamilton County. So y'all, if you run in Hamilton County, this might be your year. Vote D.
And we want competition, like
absolutely.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we have the best person in the job.
Absolutely, we're not. I mean, look at. I call them cowards, and my wife is fussing at me now, going, "Stop calling people names." But I look at Paul Ryan, right? Paul Ryan has been touting his cut taxes, cut programs, cut, because everybody, now mind you, he's been on, the government teat for a while. All of his success comes from government funding, but we want to cut it off from everybody else. Now, he elected somebody, or helped to elect somebody, who was like blowing our system up. He's like, I don't want no part of this. Let me get my tax cut, and I'm getting ready to cut and run. Yeah. And Republicans all over Washington are like, I don't want no part of this, I quit. We can't even get the Senate to even talk about gerrymandering because they're like, well, we're going to compete against each other because they're going to draw us into each other's districts. I don't want to compete against another Republican.
But we have it's just about fairness, and there is a way of doing it.
Crybaby.
The Constitution says that the party that is in the majority gets to do the draw the lines, but we can't have a group or what am I trying to say? Not an investigation, but a study group that would look at the districts and draw them more cleaner, more fair, I should say.
Absolutely,
and
on both sides.
We can do this. It doesn't, and you're right. It's not partisan. It really doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
We want the people of the state of Indiana to have their voice heard. And
we
right
want
now,
good representatives. I mean, and I think if you look at it also, like, people say, well, Dana, you're a diehard D, blah, blah, blah. But at least if you have a balanced House and a balanced Senate, we can have conversations. Right now, we can't even have a conversation. Because literally, Democrats don't have to show up for work. Right? They don't have to show up for work. And Republicans can pass whatever the heck they want. And that's not good, because that's not looking out for the whole state. Right. It's looking out for just a portion of the state. But see, this is another thing that people don't want to talk about. And unfortunately, some of my Democrat buddies are saying the same, or doing the same thing. We don't understand the art of compromise. See, that's where I think I differ even with some of my strong progressive Democrats. I don't have a problem with compromising, because I'm not just representing me and my beliefs, but I'm representing people who believe the exact opposite of what I believe. Right. So you have to be willing to compromise.
Well, and I think, if elected, I think that all...
when elected.
Yes. It's not my job to bring my personal beliefs into however I vote. My job is to find out what is best for my community.
Exactly.
And so, like you say, it's not necessarily about, your opinion.
Right.
So, my opinion may change because I talk to everybody, or I get a feel for what the community wants. Yeah, what's the best thing in the community?
Yeah.
So
absolutely. Because when I first started running, I ran on RFRA. I was mad that you were treating gay people bad. But when I started knocking on doors in District 88, nobody was talking about RFRA. Mm-hmm. So, okay, do I want to represent me, or do I want to represent District 88? Mm-hmm. And it changed how I campaigned. It changed my message. But also what happened is you start to learn about different things that are affecting people in Indiana. Mm-hmm. You don't know what's going on in every community.
Right.
How could you?
Right.
And then the more I got to talking to people in my district, the more I learned about the things that they cared about that impacted 92 counties.
Right. Right.
And that's why I love candidates. They're awesome.
Well, I think a lot of times people don't even realize what's on the table.
They don't.
And I'm thinking about that payday lending bill. That was so horrible. Oh my gosh. Yeah, thank God that the Senate didn't
call that one up.
Yeah, thank God.
And vote for Poonam Gill in District 88, because that was a Brian Bosma bill. Poonam Gill, District 88.
Yeah, I thank God. And the interesting thing about it, though, it did pass in the House.
Mm-hmm.
And
thanks to BB.
And I just have to say, Lake County Council, which is made up of 5 Democrats and 2 Republicans,
mm-hmm.
so nonpartisan, passed it wasn't an ordinance, it was a resolution that said that basically they were not going to get behind that.
Okay.
If it had been passed.
Good for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the state, the voters, the people of the state of Indiana don't want that.
No, they didn't want it.
So it was just going to kind of be pushed through without, without really caring about, because we know it was a lobbyist that wanted
mm-hmm.
it, without the people really caring about it. Or I should say,
right.
they didn't want it. And right to work is the same way.
Absolutely. No, they didn't want it. They didn't want it. Or the construction wage. And I often forget about that one. That one was just as impactful on stagnant wages as the right to work. So thank you for reminding me. I do have one other question I want to ask you. Okay. You said you did some prosecutorial law. You did some public defender law. Just share with me a little bit about your feelings about our justice reform that needs to kind of take place.
Well, I think there has been some changes.
Okay.
And not that we're where we need to be.
Of course, not making it a more perfect union, yes.
Yeah, I mean, a few years ago, the criminal law was changed, and the sentencing were changed
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
to try to accommodate, allowing judges to have more discretion on putting, because we really need to stop putting people in jail for low-level drug crimes
mm-hmm.
and other low-level crimes that,
mm-hmm.
It can ruin someone's life.
Forever.
And the judge that I was in front
of... Most of the people of color?
Yeah. The judge that I was in front of all the time used to say to an individual who had gone to prison, was out maybe a couple of years, and then was going right back again. And he said, you're doing a life sentence on the installment method. And so if we don't have things in place to make sure that people don't go back, then we're going to have individuals wasting their life, wasting their community. It's not good for the community either. Because they have no choice.
The options are limited. Yeah.
But I think a lot of that changed with the change in the sentencing law. So I think what's happening now is a lot of people are, in Lake County, one of the judges, I think all four of the felony judges, are giving bonds or allowing individuals with a drug crime to get out without having to post a bond.
Okay.
Or a low bond or something. So
a nonviolent crime.
Yeah, they're not sitting in jail while they're waiting because all these people are poor.
Right.
Some of the things that we have done, when I was in the prosecutor's office, we did, and I think we started talking about this the last time we talked, the drug market intervention is community policing. But it was amazing. We got we got this grant, and it was a training grant. And we went, there's 5 of us that went all over the country, 5 different locations. And we saw how this impacted other states that were using it. And what is just the most simplest form, it's the community working together to try to solve a problem, which in this case was a drug problem. Low-level drug dealers who go to jail or get arrested, and it can affect the rest of their life. And what was really powerful about it was realizing that, because you have an opportunity to talk to the individual, like sometimes people do that. They sell drugs just because they can make more money. So it's really just about...
It's all about economics.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
Yeah.
So having things in place, putting things in place so that people don't have to ruin their life by, selling drugs. Now, I know a lot of people, depending on the community you live in, go, well, why did they even start selling drugs?
But if you don't understand what's going on in their space and in their world, it's really hard to really get it.
But when we were in Tennessee, the sheriff in that jurisdiction was the one running their DMI program, and I remember him saying that they arrested a bunch of low-level drug dealers, had a really good case on them, did not charge them. That's how the program worked. You don't charge them. You bring them in. You say, listen, we want to change your life. You need to be willing to do this. And if you do make steps, stop committing crimes, then we'll help you, whatever you need. And he said when they sat down and they talked to some of the individuals, one guy actually needed, diapers. I mean, how sad is that? So, it's about the community. And I think that it works with anything.
Okay.
With just about anything, I think, as far as looking at making some changes with criminal justice.
Okay. And I always want to touch on that because that impacts lives due to the opioid addiction or just driving while black. So I want to make sure I put that out there. All right. Well, tell the people how they can find you.
Okay, so we have a webpage.
Okay, all right. Tell the people, because you want volunteers and you need donations.
Yes, I do. Thank you. Lisa Beck for State Rep, and it's FOR.com is the webpage.
Okay.
And then I think it's Lisa Beck for State Rep we have a Facebook page as well. But if you go to the webpage, there's a contact portion. If you sign up, we'll be more than happy to have you help us. We really appreciate any help that we can get. And I really appreciate you giving me an opportunity to come here today and to talk. Always fun.
Trust me,
Always
I'm a
fun.
groupie for candidates and elected officials. The joy is all mine. I'm trying to tell y'all, I love this. I get to talk to people who want to make change. Every week.
Yeah.
Every week. You want to make change.
I do.
Who doesn't get excited about that?
I know.
Okay. One last thing. Do you have any events, any fundraisers coming up?
On May 1st, we're having something at the Joel Sassimo's in Crown Point.
Okay.
If anybody wants to come. Thank you.
All right. So
it's on the webpage.
It's on the webpage. May 1st. It's May 1st?
May 1st.
May 1st. Tuesday.
5:30 to 7:30.
5:30 to 7:30. I will be at the Southside Democrat Club speaking because the Schrock sisters asked me to come and speak, so I'm going to come and speak at the Southside. There's one thing I want to touch on before I leave tonight. First of all, I almost forgot. My wife's birthday is Sunday, so y'all wish Maya Black a happy birthday. I almost forgot. I almost forgot. My wife's birthday is Sunday, and she's gonna be she's 22 now. No,
at least 22. I think.
Exactly. So y'all just say a happy birthday to my beautiful wife who lets me run around the state and do all the great things I do, and she doesn't complain much. Okay. Another thing I wanted to touch on real quick. The mayor came on. He had his State of the City. Mayor Hogsett had his State of the City address this week, and of course, crime was one of the many topics that we talked about in Indianapolis's murder rate and some of the things that are happening. But he also mentioned how technology will be helping law enforcement try to do some preventive care and preventive policing in our community. I am proud to say that One of my roles when I worked for ISA in the City County building and working with IMPD was to be a part of that project. That is a huge project that will move Indiana forward, the city of Indianapolis forward when it comes to law enforcement by using technology. Being a part of that project from an IT point of view was amazing, and I would not change anything about that experience for the world, because I got to learn about law enforcement, which is difficult for people of color, but then I also got to see how technology could improve law enforcement and even hold them more accountable. So some of the things that we concern ourselves with when it comes to police actions and things like that, technology can kind of help us along. Well, this week will be my last week in ISA in the IT department. It is a bittersweet situation for me. One, it's sweet because I get to go work with Deb Jenkins, our fantastic Marion County surveyor. I am looking forward to being a partner with her in that office and doing fantastic things. But the sad part is I was the only female of color in my entire IT department that was paid by the city of Indianapolis. The rest of the women of color were contractors. Great women, and I'm not taking anything away from it, but I'm saddened that now there will be absolutely zero women of color being paid by my city to take care of our IT needs. Even though I'm growing and I'm changing and I'm doing some different things, we have to do better about getting technology into the hands of our young girls of color, young girls, period. But also, we have a number of HBCUs around our country who are churning out women who study computer science. We have to do better about introducing and getting women involved in IT firms and getting them involved in technology and offering them positions and allowing them to grow without having to code switch. Yeah, figure that out. So it's a life transition. I'm excited about working for Deb Jenkins. How about that? But I'm also very sad that at this moment, the city of Indianapolis does not have a woman of color working in the IT department, and we have to do better. We have to do better. Lisa, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. Yay, thank you. All right, Indiana's own Dana Black. We ran over a little bit. I apologize. I wanted to get that little personal thing out. I love y'all. I will see y'all next week. Good night, y'all.
Thank you.
Let me turn the mic off and get the music going. Auto, play, and go.
Oh my God, I'm going to be like thinking.
Huh?
Is it over? Okay.
Yeah, wait. It's over, but we got to stop the live. We got to stop the